Hello Summit County, I am Steele Spence and I am here today with my friend and friend of the entire ski industry, Mike Douglas. Mike, welcome back to Summit County. How are you?
Oh, it's good to be here, man. It's been a couple of years, but I'm stoked to be back.
Nice. First I want to take this opportunity, since we have you here, to talk a little bit about free skiing, the history of free skiing and the role that you played in it. So you were there at a very exciting time in free skiing, the birth of free skiing, and in fact you were so instrumental, you've been dubbed the godfather of free skiing. You want to tell us something about what was going on in those days, some key players, and kind of how this sport evolved to what it is today?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, to paint a picture, if you weren't around the ski biz in the mid-90s, snowboarding was really on the rise.
Yeah.
and was kind of where all the energy and excitement was, and skiing was starting to be viewed as a sort of old person sport. And myself and a bunch of my buddies, we were passionate skiers. There's no way we wanted to switch to a new sport, but we loved the energy that we saw in snowboarding. So we started going to the snowboard parks, as they were called back then, and tried to do the same kind of tricks that the snowboarders were doing, but on skis.
Yep.
And as it kind of went on, we started gaining some attention, and people were, shaking their heads at us and wondering what we were doing as we cruised around. And, over time, that kind of led to the design of a twin tip ski. We wanted to be able to ski forward and backwards. And funny enough, it was in this very town where we got to see the very first Salomon 1080 ski, which was the first high performance twin tip. And I think I was 98. And I was here with JF Cousin, JP Auclair, Vincent Dorian. We were here for the Freestyle World Cup right up on the hill behind us here.
Yep, Mach 1.
Yeah, and the next day we went over to Vail, where they had the very first US Free Skiing Open. And that night after the competition, we got back to our hotel here in Breck, and waiting in our room was the very first 1080. And I'll never forget, we raced back to Vail for the awards. The JF and JP won the US Open that year.
Yep.
And JP held up the very first 1080 ski on the podium that night, and that kind of really kicked off that whole revolution, and then we've just been going for the ride ever since.
It did, and it's true, the Salomon 1080 really was the first true twin tip ski that allowed this progression to happen, and you were instrumental in the design of the ski, I believe, correct?
Yeah, well, we ended up, we kind of shopped the whole twin tip idea around to all the ski companies at the time,
Yeah.
and they were all just like slamming their doors in our faces pretty much. Everyone thought it was a stupid idea.
What we're looking for is a ski company that shares this vision and is willing to help us take this sport into the future.
But Salomon in the end said, all right, let's make this happen, and I'd been working on some kind of specs and designs for the ski, and we ended up pretty much making what we drew out on paper.
Yep.
And that kind of started it all, and like I said, it's been a pretty fun ride ever since.
Mike D, it was so cool to have you here for TV8 Summit. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Steele.